Well, of course, in the 1918 election, you have women voting for the first time in a national election. Now, women could have voted in local government elections from the 1890s onwards, but in 1918 they had finally received the right to vote. Now, it is a limited franchise for women. It's only women over the age of 30 with certain property qualifications or a university degree. So it's very much a middle class women's vote. So working class women and young women still don't have the vote. Yet they participate in the election with all of their energies and all of their devotion to the cause, particularly those women who were in Cumann na mBan or the Irish Citizen Army and who had been politicised in 1916 or in the years afterwards, 1917 and 18, with the anti-conscription campaigns in 1918. So many of them had began to join Cumann na mBan. So you see an awful lot of young working class women campaigning for the one woman who was running for election in Dublin, Countess McAuliffe, and for Sinn Féin candidates more broadly, and doing all sorts of things to deliver the female vote for Sinn Féin, and particularly in the St. Patrick's division in Dublin for Countess McAuliffe. The campaign for female suffrage is long, from the early part of the 19th century, but really from the early part of the 20th century it is the work of militant feminists, militant suffragettes, like the members of the Irish Women's Franchise League, as well as those women who were in other suffrage organisations throughout the country, as well as women in Cumann na mBan, who would join Cumann na mBan. They had been campaigning for the vote for women. But if we look just at the militant suffragettes, it is the Irish Women's Franchise League, Innian na hÉireann, and various other organisations like that that are campaigning for the vote. Their first big campaign, of course, is in 1912, way before 1918 and the vote itself, when they try and get suffrage included, female suffrage included in the Third Home Rule Bill, which is going through the House of Commons then. And the Third Home Rule Bill, being promoted and sponsored by the Irish Parliamentary Party and John Redmond, was to deliver home rule, our own government in Dublin, for Ireland. Now, the women like Hannah Sheehy Skeffington, Helena Maloney, Kathleen Lynn, and various other quite well-known suffrage activists, including Countess McAuliffe, wanted the Irish Parliamentary Party to have female franchise included as part of that bill, but they failed to get that done. The Irish Parliamentary Party was split between those men who supported suffrage for women, like Thomas Kettle, and those who didn't. John Redmond seems to have been relatively sitting on the fence about the issue, but his deputy, John Dillon, said that the women's suffrage would be the ruin of Western civilization, and that he hoped it would never come in his lifetime, although he did believe it would be achieved, but he hoped he would be long gone before that happened. And so when the women didn't get the Irish Parliamentary Party to include female suffrage in the 1912 Home Rule Bill, they look elsewhere for their political allies, and they look to a small party that will come to prominence post-Rising, and that party, of course, was Sinn Féin and Arthur Griffith, who had allowed women to join since it was founded. So Sinn Féin becomes the natural home, both after the rising of militant nationalist politics, but also of militant women's politics. So you can see that combination, that alliance happening from about 1912 onwards. And indeed, Jenny Wise Power, who was a long time feminist activist, had joined the Ladies' Land League in 1881 as a teenager, was a member of Sinn Féin, was a member of the Irish Women's Franchise League, a founder member of Cumann na mBan, said in 1918, when the election was over and the Irish Parliamentary Party had been destroyed, that this was a bit of revenge that the women took on the Irish Parliamentary Party.